only have a few minutes here, so I'll just tell you a little bit. First off, I need to introduce, I have a co-presenter. So Brooks, if you're there, can you say hi? Here he is. All right. So Brooks Canavesi, since this is about virtual reality, I decided, thought it'd be good to have also sort of a virtual co-presenter. So how about that? All right. So we're going to talk today about transition planning, activation planning, move management. How do you get 4,500 people into a new hospital effectively and make them comfortable? And one of the things that Brooks will show and talk about is how we're using virtual reality to aid us in doing that. So a little bit about MetroHealth, a real little bit about MetroHealth, is that MetroHealth, the MetroHealth System is the second oldest corporation in Cleveland, next to the incorporation of Cleveland as a city itself. It's been in business continuously for 187 years. It is the county hospital, the public hospital for Cuyahoga County. It provides, as you might expect in most public hospitals, level 1 trauma services, is the regional burn unit, also is the state Ebola hospital, if you will, with a special disease care unit, and an academic medical center for Case Western Reserve residents and medical students. So we do a lot. We serve a lot of the public, 1 million visits across the system, et cetera. So a very, very, very busy place that's been around for a good long time. The campus in 2014, when I started working at MetroHealth, looked like what you see in the upper left corner. Collection of buildings over that period of time. On average, those buildings are about 70 years old, but we do have some that go back about 100 years, some that go back to maybe the 90s, and the most recent building was a vertical expansion we did about 6 years ago on top of a 1990s building. But in 2014, my boss, Dr. Boutros, announced the campus transformation as a result of the fact that, and this might relate to you, the age of the buildings, et cetera, was severely threatened by the environmental event called a polar vortex that came through Cleveland in the winter of 2013. And so all of that deferred maintenance, all of that age, et cetera, came to a head and nearly shut the hospital down twice during that event. So it became very clear that something very dramatic and needed to be done other than just fix, paint, and spackle together. We intend then to change the 52 acres of the main campus in Cleveland to what you see on the lower right, and that is the future for MetroHealth. The Glick Center, which is the new hospital tower, is the tall building that you see sort of in the center of that image. So as Nicole gave you a preview, it's a fairly large building. The new construction is about a little over 700,000 square feet, but because it is attached to that more recent building, which is about 200,000 square feet, it's about 1 million square feet or so of construction and combined construction and renovation that will make up the entire new hospital. Overall, we'll have 470 beds on this site when we're done. MetroHealth, this is one of 4 hospitals that MetroHealth has, so within the system, there are lots of beds across the county. So the real question is then, over the period of time it takes to design and construct a hospital, we've been at it now for 4 years. It is scheduled to open in October of this year. There are roughly 4,500 employees, and how do you get them familiar with an entirely new environment that they have never done at all in the past? A renovation here, change a unit there, but never the entire environment all at one time, and get them comfortable enough, familiar enough with that new environment as quickly and as effectively as you can with the longest length of time, when I'm not finished with construction till July. So I'm only going to have, 3.5 months or whatever to show everybody, train everybody how to operate in their new facility. Now the math says you could do that if you did 50 people a day, okay, continuously until it opened. But the fact of the matter is that these departments need to learn how to work together. They need the interaction, they need the interplay with each other. So you can't just do it mathematically and say you 50 today, you 50 tomorrow. So Brooks is with part of the transition team, a company called Allen Interactions, which is one of the members of the team. And what we asked them to do was to develop a way to get that staff ahead of the game by using virtual reality so that they essentially play in a digital model of the new hospital even before the construction is finished. In fact, what they're doing is they've created a whole online e-learning set of modules for the staff, which is not just the virtual reality, but also training sessions, et cetera, questions, answers, how do you do this, that, or the other, because policies change, et cetera. And the staff is now going through all of that right now in person, and after we have our temporary certificate of occupancy, we'll certainly have day-in-the-life exercises and real-life in-person type exercises, but that's what will happen within the 3 or so months between after the hospital is turned over to us and it's ready for opening. So this gives you just a little sense of what it's going to look like, but Brooks is going to give you more of a real-life version of how this virtual reality training is intended to go. But this will give you a sense of the difference between the virtual environment and the real environment. The real environment's on the left, by the way, in case you needed a clue, and the virtual environment is on the right. So this is the level of realism, if you will, that we put into the model so that when they do enter the real environment, it's pretty close to what they're going to be experiencing and seeing, and so their expectations should be met, and it should be pretty familiar to them when they get there. Okay, so Brooks, if you're there and you can bring up your demo, feel free. It is you've got about 9 minutes or so to show off.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. My name is Brooks Canavesi, and thanks, Walter. It's been a pleasure to work with the team at MetroHealth. And what I'm sharing on my screen right now is what we call a free roam mode. And that means that all 1 million square feet of navigatable space will be available for someone to go through all the levels of the CCP and the new Glick Tower. So the first thing you would do is you would select an avatar, and we have some different avatars here that you can choose from. So I'll choose this one here. And when you start into the application, and again, this is running on a web browser, so we can run these on Chromebooks, we can run these on traditional desktop computers. You don't need specific installation, you don't need a VR headset, though this platform, where it was built in a game engine, could be migrated to any type of those mobile devices or VR headsets. So when you start, you have a mini map here. You can just use your arrow keys, left arrow key, right arrow key, up, down, to move your avatar around. We did this to make sure that people could navigate very easily within the system. You'll see down here on the right, you have your map. You can expand that map to see where you're at. So you started here at the elevators, you can head towards the lobby, and you can see this is the critical care pavilion, and this is all of the Glick Tower, and the tower comes up in this area. So we can close the map, and we can walk. We can start to interact with things. So as we come up to specific environments here, like this registration desk, and I'll let the video catch up. So it's very smooth on my side. If it looks like it's chunking a little bit on your side, that would just be from the video. But here you'll see this little eye icon. You can click on that and you'll actually get information about these areas, like the information desk. So here we have these informational icons that people can interact with around the hospital system. So we'll continue from here. And we can also, in our map mode, switch to any floor. So you can see we can go all the way up to the 9th floor. And I'll just run up to the 1st floor to show you that one. Mm-hmm. And this is where prep and recovery are. We can walk through these doors and head into prep and recovery and take a look at what one of these rooms looks like. So again, 1 million square feet of navigatable space. Not everyone would go through every nook and cranny of the hospital. They would be specifically looking for areas of interest that are going to be their department that they would be, and then also public areas. In addition to this free roam mode, which anyone can take time and go through these various levels various floors. We also have what we call guided tours, and guided tours can be provided via an LMS. So we can give each of the employees specific guided tours based on their role function. We can assign them specific guided tours that are specific to their role and their job function. Also some public facing, so how to give people wayfinding for both families and patients. Those guided tours can be then provided via the LMS as part of their learning path. So currently, MetroHealth uses Sava Cloud, but this would work with SuccessFactors, Cornerstone, or any LMS, as these are SCORM compliant. So we'll choose a patient and family guided tour. We'll choose our avatar.
You're at 5 minutes,
we'll
Brooks.
get a little message about patient and family, and we'll begin. And our first hotspot's right here in front of us, so we can just come up and touch that, and that's the main lobby entrance. So we learn about this. We also have a crystal above our heads here, and that crystal is telling us what direction the next location is. So I'm going to remove my map, and it's asking me to go to the information desk. As I turn around, I can see that. I'll go to that next place. Gives me information. Now my next location is registration. So that's here. If I go off course, so I see that's here, but if I go off course and start heading down the hallway, I'm going to hit specific zones. So kind of think like you're getting colder, you're getting warmer, and eventually as I get down this hallway, I'm going to hit a yellow zone and eventually hit a red zone, which will make me go back. So here it went to red, I can see my little indicator, and that's actually going to put a path on the ground as I turn around as well to get back to the location that I was meant to go to. So I can follow that path. So as I start going too far off track, we create these zones, almost like a geofence, which will then allow them to have almost like a GPS navigation to get back to the location and the hotspot that they should go to. So here, we go to our spot. And as I achieve the markers, I'm making my way through this guided tour and learning about it along the way. Once I've completed some guided tours, I would then be assigned challenges from the LMS. And to show you a challenge here, what happens, it's very much like the guided tour. However, what happens is I lose the crystal. So now I need to find my way to prep and recovery. I still have use of the map, so I can see where I'm starting and where prep and recovery is. I'm starting at the staff elevators because this is a staff tour. And I'm going to make my way through here. I can see interventional imaging in the cath lab. I'm going to make a right and make my way over here to the prep and recovery area.
You're at about 2.5 minutes, Brooks, just to let you know.
Perfect. And as I achieve these way markers, then it takes me to the endoscopy suite, which would be the next. So I'm going to have less challenges here, less waypoints, but I also don't have the additional help of the crystal above my head, helping me to find those specific locations. So that's a way that we're using this model. The model was built in Revit, as many construction projects are done in 3D. And we were able to take those Revit files and convert them into a game engine that is very accurate, because they were built off of the engineering CADs, to the widths of the hallways, the heights of the ceilings, and all of the equipment that goes within. So as Walter was saying, this is a great way for the staff to get acquainted with the space while it's not safe to tour without hard hats and yellow vests and gloves and eye protection and so on. Using this virtual environment, the staff is able to get much more familiarized with the space and what their workflow could look like in that space. In addition to wayfinding and training on the facility, the model has been used in free roam mode for workflow planning, and it's also been used by donor relations for helping with naming to see what it would look like whenever they're looking at naming, like maybe the chapel or the Family Resource Center. There's different donors that are working with the hospital around that, and this gives them the ability to actually visualize what their space would look like.
So So our challenge, of course, we've been working with Brooks and the team from HTS, which is the firm that we've been using for our transition activation planning and move management. We've been working with them for, well, a little over a year now, I think, overall. It's a big project to get everybody familiar with within the time that we need to do this. This tool, then, and as Brooks mentioned, we've modeled the entire 1 million square feet of the hospital. I may be the only one that's actually roaming around the whole million because it's just so much fun. It does work on any laptop. It does work. We have rooms set up for staff to be able to come to at lunch to do this. There are exercises in the learning module to get from point A to point B. And I think the next iteration is that we'd probably make this even more of a gaming environment so they could pick up things, they could move things around, they could interact with their other teammates, they could do virtual day in the life, if you will. It has really an unlimited potential in terms of where it can go and how we can use it. So those are some of the possibilities and the next opportunities. We won't get a chance to do that. Our project will be finished before that time. But for the next project, and as the technology improves and increases and the capabilities expand, we see the possibilities of this being really, really, really wonderful to get lots of people familiar. We will also be able to use this for training as new employees come to the hospital after we're open, because we got a 1 million square foot digital model of the whole hospital. So that's a little bit about what we're doing to get this hospital ready to up and run. The build will be done, but now you got to get people to operate it, and this is going to help us tremendously. So I appreciate your time, and this is how you can get in touch with each of us, and I can tell you a little bit more about it later on during the conference here today. So thank you very much.